The invisible system. The average person now spends years of their life staring at a screen. Not building, not creating, not thinking deeply. Scrolling. And most people believe this happened naturally. It didn't. Because the modern attention economy was engineered. Carefully. Scientifically. Relentlessly. The most powerful companies on Earth no longer compete only for money. They compete for something far more valuable. Human attention. Your attention. Because whoever controls attention increasingly controls behavior. And whoever controls behavior slowly shapes society itself. Every morning, billions of people wake up, reach for their phones, and immediately hand their minds over to algorithms. Not governments, not schools, not religions, algorithms. Invisible systems quietly deciding what people see, what they feel, what they fear, what they desire, what they become. And the terrifying part is, most people never notice it happening. Because the most powerful forms of control rarely feel oppressive. They feel entertaining, convenient, addictive. Social media promised connection, but something strange happened. People became more connected than ever before, yet psychologically more fragmented, more distracted, more anxious, more emotionally manipulated. Because social media was never merely technology. It became behavioral engineering, emotional infrastructure, psychological conditioning, mass persuasion at planetary scale, and humanity may still not fully understand what it has created. This is not simply the story of apps. This is the story of how modern civilization industrialized human attention. Part 1. When attention became the most valuable resource. For most of human history, human attention was limited by physical reality. People focused on survival, family, local communities, real-world problems. But the internet changed something fundamental. For the first time in history, human attention became scalable. And social media transformed attention into one of the most profitable assets ever created. Because platforms discovered a terrifying truth. The longer people stayed emotionally engaged, the more profitable they became. And this changed the incentive structure of the entire internet. Technology companies were no longer competing to inform people. They were competing to capture and retain human attention at all costs. And emotionally calm people do not stay online very long. Emotionally triggered people do. So outrage became profitable. Fear became profitable. Division became profitable. Addiction became profitable. Because emotional reactions generate engagement. And engagement generates advertising revenue. Former Google design ethicist Tristan Harris once warned that many modern apps are designed using the same psychological principles found inside casinos. Because social media companies realized something incredibly powerful. Human psychology could be engineered. Predictable emotional patterns could be monetized. And eventually, algorithms became frighteningly sophisticated at understanding human behavior. Not because they cared about truth, but because they cared about retention. Every second of attention became economically valuable. And slowly, the internet stopped being an information network. It became an attention extraction machine. Part 2. The addiction economy. Social media platforms are not designed like tools. They are designed like slot machines. Every swipe, every refresh, every notification, every like, triggers dopamine inside the human brain. And dopamine is powerful. Not because it creates pleasure, but because it creates anticipation, compulsion, behavioral repetition. This is why people check their phones reflexively, even when nothing important is happening. Because intermittent rewards are psychologically addictive. The same behavioral mechanisms used in gambling systems now exist inside apps used by billions of people every day. Infinite scrolling was not accidental. Push notifications were not accidental. Read receipts were not accidental. The entire system was optimized to maximize screen time, emotional dependency, habitual checking behavior. Because the longer people remain online, the more data platforms collect. And data became the new oil. Every click reveals emotional triggers, fears, insecurities, desires, political tendencies, psychological vulnerabilities. Modern algorithms often understand users better than users understand themselves. And once human behavior becomes predictable, it also becomes influenceable. This is where social media stopped being entertainment and became behavioral infrastructure. Invisible systems quietly shaping billions of human decisions in real time. Part 3. Social media rewired human psychology. Human beings evolved in tribes, small social groups, not global digital arenas. The human brain was never designed to process millions of opinions, endless comparison, constant stimulation, infinite validation loops. And yet modern society normalized exactly that. Now people compare themselves globally every single day. Teenagers compare themselves to celebrities. Adults compare themselves to millionaires. Creators compare themselves to algorithms. And endless comparison creates psychological instability. Because social status once existed locally, now status exists globally. And global comparison never ends. Eventually, people begin measuring self-worth through likes, followers, engagement, visibility. Validation becomes externalized. Identity becomes performative. Reality becomes curated. And slowly, people stop asking, "Who am I really?" and begin asking, "How do I appear online?" This changes human behavior profoundly. Because once identity becomes performance, authenticity begins disappearing. People no longer optimize for truth. They optimize for attention. And algorithms reward whoever captures attention most effectively. Not whoever is wisest. Not whoever is healthiest. Not whoever is most ethical. Whatever captures attention wins. And eventually, society itself begins adapting to the algorithm. Part 4. The business model of outrage. One of the darkest truths about social media is that outrage performs extremely well. Angry people engage more. Fearful people share more. Emotionally triggered users remain online longer. And platforms learned this very quickly. Not necessarily because they wanted societal chaos, but because chaos performs well algorithmically. This created a dangerous economic incentive. Division became profitable. Polarization became profitable. Conflict became profitable. And eventually, algorithms increasingly amplified political extremism, outrage culture, tribal conflict, emotional hostility. Because emotional intensity drives engagement, the result is something deeply dangerous. Reality fragmentation. Entire populations now exist inside personalized digital realities. Different feeds, different narratives, different truths. People are no longer experiencing the same version of reality. And when societies lose shared reality, social trust begins collapsing. This may become one of the most destabilizing consequences of algorithmic media. Not simply misinformation, but the destruction of collective perception itself. Part 5. The death of attention span. Modern attention spans are collapsing. Short-form content accelerated this dramatically. Human brains became conditioned for constant novelty, rapid stimulation, immediate rewards. Stillness became uncomfortable. Silence became difficult. Deep focus became rare. Now, millions of people struggle to read books, think deeply, tolerate boredom, focus for extended periods. And boredom once played an essential role in creativity. Some of humanity's greatest breakthroughs emerged from reflection, solitude, uninterrupted thinking. But modern platforms monetize interruption. Every second of silence is viewed as lost engagement. And slowly, human cognition itself began adapting to algorithmic environments. People became faster at consuming information, but weaker at deeply processing it. This creates a dangerous civilization, one filled with reactive thinking, emotional impulsiveness, shallow understanding, reduced critical thought, because shallow attention creates shallow perception, and shallow perception is easy to manipulate. Part 6. The rise of invisible social control. Throughout history, powerful institutions attempted to shape public opinion. But social media introduced something unprecedented: real-time behavioral influence at planetary scale. Platforms can now influence elections, consumer behavior, public narratives, cultural trends, political movements, through algorithms invisible to the average person. And because these systems are proprietary, society cannot fully see how information is prioritized, what content is suppressed, how emotional behavior is manipulated. This creates enormous asymmetrical power, because whoever controls information flow increasingly controls perception itself. And perception shapes reality. The frightening part is, most people still believe they are thinking independently, without realizing how heavily algorithms shape what they see, what they believe, what they fear, what they desire. Social media no longer merely reflects society. It actively engineers society in real time. Part 7. The creator economy trap. Social media transformed human ambition itself. Now millions dream of becoming influencers, creators, internet celebrities, because attention became monetizable. And while this created opportunity, it also created psychological traps. Many creators become trapped inside algorithmic dependency. Their income, their identity, their emotional stability, their self-worth, all become tied to engagement metrics. Views become validation. Likes become emotional currency. And algorithms quietly determine relevance, visibility, income, digital survival. This creates an incredibly unstable psychological environment, because algorithms constantly change, audiences constantly move, attention constantly shifts, and many creators experience burnout, anxiety, depression, identity crises behind carefully curated online success. The internet made visibility accessible, but it also made human worth dangerously quantifiable. Part 8. The future of human consciousness. Artificial intelligence may make this dramatically more powerful. Future systems could become capable of predicting emotional states, manipulating behavior in real time, generating hyper-personalized persuasion, simulating human relationships at massive scale. The line between reality, entertainment, manipulation, persuasion may become increasingly blurred. Because technology evolves faster than human biology, the human brain remains ancient. But the systems competing for human attention are becoming unimaginably sophisticated. And perhaps this becomes one of the defining battles of the modern era. Not the battle for information, but the battle for human consciousness itself. Because eventually, the algorithm stops merely shaping content. It begins shaping identity. And whatever society rewards, human beings slowly become. Ending. The final warning. Social media did not simply change communication. It changed attention, identity, relationships, politics, self-worth, civilization itself. The most powerful technology companies in the world no longer merely sell products. They shape perception, and perception shapes reality. The frightening truth is, many people believe they are consuming social media, while social media is actually consuming them. Consuming their attention, their focus, their emotions, their time, their identity, and perhaps the most dangerous part of all is how normal this has become. Because the greatest systems of control rarely feel like control. They feel entertaining, convenient, comfortable. But underneath the endless scrolling, a far larger transformation is taking place. One that may redefine freedom, truth, human behavior, civilization itself for generations to come. Perhaps the greatest threat of the modern era is not artificial intelligence, not economic collapse, not even political instability, but the gradual surrender of human consciousness itself. Because civilizations do not collapse only through war. Sometimes, they collapse through distraction. And for the first time in history, human attention has become industrialized at planetary scale. The question is no longer whether social media changes society. It already has. The real question is, what happens when an entire civilization loses control of its own mind? Thank you for watching. Subscribe to Wealth OS for more documentaries on wealth, power, AI, and the hidden psychology behind modern society.